Hey, folks, Quilly here, and welcome to our Saturday live stream. And we are going to be continuing Timberborn today, but first, we're going to talk about MechWarrior 5 clans. We'll try to have a brief conversation about it, and then, yeah, we're going to switch into some more Timberborn, because I'm very curious to see how it goes. But MechWarrior 5 clans dropped a couple of days ago, 3 days ago now? Something around there. And despite its naming convention, this is a standalone game. This is something we've seen with some of the other MechWarrior games as well. So there was MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, which also came out with a few DLCs, a few expansions. And now there's MechWarrior 5 Clans, which is a completely different game. Sort of, kind of on the same engine, but not really, because I think this one got the bump to Unreal 5. So I don't know. Like, a lot of things feel fairly similar in gameplay. Yeah, so I actually don't know the technical things going on behind the scenes in terms of what the engine was and why they stuck with MechWarrior 5 as opposed to going with a 6 or whatever. But here we go. Now, I'm going to disclaimer this discussion with a very big caveat and bias. I don't give a shit about the clans. I think the clans are a bunch of annoying edgelord honor warriors. Was never into them at all. I like the inner sphere stuff. I like the lost tech. I like the mercenary experience. I like having to salvage things, put things together on almost like Franken-mech styles. I like that vibe of things. I like the clans existing as the sort of the foe, the big scary endgame crisis, where all of a sudden these people from beyond our known space show up with much more powerful stuff, and we have to try to fight them back that way. I like that vibe, right? So I like playing MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries because of that. What I also love is that Mercenaries, you take some damage on your mech. Every piece of armor that gets hit, that's money out of the bank. You lose an arm, you've just lost a PPC, you don't have a spare PPC, oh my god. I guess we'll slot in a large laser for now and then see what we can do later. I like that gameplay style, right? One thing with the MechWarrior 5 Clans game is you take damage during a mission. Oh well. You basically have unlimited resource. And that's realistic, given the situation. I'm not criticizing their game decision, right? That makes perfect amount of sense because the clans have tons of resources. They have the newest tech. They have the ability to manufacture more things. You lose some stuff in battle. Doesn't really matter. It'll just be fixed before the next mission anyway. No biggie. There's no looking around. There's no getting excited because you found a level 2 medium laser, right? So it's going to be slightly better. It's all clan stuff. So it's all super kick-ass awesome all the time. So there's going to be some inherent bias, in a sense, in terms of which game I'd rather play. And the answer is, I would much rather play the Mercenaries type of experience rather than the Clans type of experience. It especially helps, of course, that MechWarrior 5 Clan has got, I think about a year after its release, it got its, was it called Heroes of the Inner Sphere, which added the career mode and stuff, and obviously career mode is very cool. And presumably there's probably going to be something like that coming for clans as well, but let's back up and just sort of think about, like, main campaign-y kind of stuff. Story in here, very cool. Massive amounts of lore drop that are really excellent. Again, a lot of the lore that I really followed was earlier. It's before the clan invasion. Seeing a lot of it here and then checking on things on Wiki and following up conversations on Reddit and stuff like that, like high levels of lore accuracy. People are loving the references to various things, which is really cool. So I'm actually actively learning a lot of lore. And yeah, the story's good. The voice acting, I'm going to say, is pretty good in the game, except I feel for your clanmates. These, or your star, people. Your 5 people over here, and that's one of the other things, right? Because we're playing a story-based game. These 5 characters you've got don't die. They're going to be fixed in here. They're always the same. You're not hiring and recruiting other mech warriors. And again, we're not running a mercenary group over here, so it makes sense that we don't have complete flexibility over here. I find that their voice acting is it's a little bit on the wooden side, a little bit awkward. A lot of people have had issues with the facial animation. Some people Some people are fine with it. I'm mostly on the it's mostly fine. Some people who are probably just better at seeing things think, wow, it's goddamn awful. There is sort of a bit of a flatness there, and some people are having issues where like the animations are really like there's this sort of stutter vibration going on in it. It may depend slightly on computer setups, although I've got a friend of mine who's got the exact same video card I have, and he's experiencing a lot more judder in the animation than I am, or he's just better at noticing it, which is entirely possible. The in-game, in-mission visuals are awesome. We'll load one up for a moment. We're not going to do a full mission. We're not going to do that. We're mostly playing Timberborn today, but we'll load it up, take a look a little bit at the visuals. The environments look fantastic, just like visually fantastic. Also, much more interesting maps than I remember from playing MechWarrior 5. And I'm currently with my friends doing an online co-op career mode. We've been playing for the last few weeks, so MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries is very much top of mind for me. The maps in here look fantastic. A part of it is each of these maps is more handcrafted because we're going through a campaign here as opposed to a sandboxy career mode, so it makes sense. But visually, it looks great. The animations are lovely. The clan mechs, especially in the early game where you're playing around with light mechs, I mean, so fast, just ripping up the landscape at unbelievable speeds. It feels really fun, nimble. Like some of the reviews from people who have just played through the start are like, it doesn't feel like MechWarrior. It's not these big, stompy, clanky mechs. I mean, you get there once you get to the heavy and assault mechs of the clans, even though they will feel a little bit more slow and ponderous and very mechy. But the early ones, the light mechs, they're like freaking like ninjas doing parkour. Part of it is because they've got the what do they call I keep going to say ER engines, but that's probably not accurate here. XL engines, that's what they're called. XL engines. So they're lighter, more powerful. I mean, the top speed, some of these mechs, especially the light mechs, this is a medium mech, but the light mech speed is just like so sick. I love the Jenner. Yeah, so Lilium, the Jenner, of course, is an inner sphere mech, but the Jenner's got nice high speed, which is really nice. It's funny when you're starting a campaign, and this was what happened when my buddies and I started with our career mode, right? We started with just a bunch of light mechs, and the Panthers, which are great little mechs, God, they are slow compared to the other light mechs. Anyway, so that's quite cool. Before we get to the Mech Lab, I want to say, generally speaking, this game suffers heavily from console-itis in terms of the user interface. Picture this: you've just completed a mission. You've got a little dot next to facilities over here, letting you know that there's something to handle there, which I appreciate. You know me, I like my little alerts. And mostly it's because you're getting chassis XP. This game has like 30,000 different currencies and sub-currencies effectively, but you can earn XP towards specific chassis simply by using it in combat. So you got a little dot over here. So you click there, and then you've got a dot next to the science lab, so you click there. Then you've got a dot next to the chassis milestones, so you click there. Then you got a dot next to one of the chassis, so you click there. And then finally you can go and click on these various milestones that have been collected. Now this gives you chassis XP. What are you gonna do with it? Well, now we're gonna have to click back. Then you're gonna click on chassis upgrades. Then you'll click on the chassis again. And then, my God, is this text huge. Oh, and the scroll, everything is big and scrolling because the user interface is designed for people who are playing this in their living room TV from, 17 miles away. And if text needs to be really, really, really big. I don't know, because I haven't compared, but it doesn't feel like they've gone and implemented a PC specific interface. I think it's just the same. Now, PC users may benefit from mods that might tweak these things, and certainly my favorite digital adaptation of the MechWarrior / Battletech universe is still Harebrained Scheme's Battletech game, which I absolutely love. It's turn-based combat, very strategic, and especially with mods, it can become incredibly crunchy. And of course, one of the reasons we love some of the games we love, like RimWorld and so on, is because of the modding support that just makes it great. So it's tough, because you want to judge the game for what it is by itself, but also potentially, how amazing can it get with modding. But yeah, this whole, ambiguitude here, it's also kind of an issue in combat as well. But anyway, there's that. Lots of sub-clicks, lots of this. The Mech Bay works very differently than in MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries. And again, to be fair, clan mechs work differently. We don't really get a true and proper kind of paper doll system for tweaking our mechs in here. Instead, you can't make any changes at all to your mech on this screen. Instead, what you have to do is you click on a specific body part, and then you can start to make changes. Although again, what you're doing is you're kind of clicking on a slot, then you're going over here, and look, these huge icons with sideways scrolling. Everything is big, everything is hard to see at a glance, because it's got to be big and visual for, I feel, consolitis kind of things. But you've got that. Now, only working on one body part at a time does make it a little harder to like sort of, work on balancing the weights. Like, because a lot of times it's like, okay, I'm going to trim this here and then add some a little bit over there. As far as I can tell, we also can't just change the armor by itself. But that's because the clans operate on these Omnipod systems. That's one of their big developments that they did during their exodus. For those of you who don't know, very briefly, the MechWarrior lore in the world, humanity expands out to a bunch of different star systems. There's this glorious golden age of the Star League, and at some point it all goes to shit and descends into a massive galaxy-wide civil war. Well, galaxy-wide. The inner sphere is a chunk of the galaxy, which is where everyone lives. Some dude, Kerensky, who is basically the leader of the United Nations forces in this equivalent here, the Star League forces, he says, screw all y'all, I'm taking the entire army of everything, and we're just leaving. We're just leaving. They go out into the void, into unexplored space, and they just piss off for centuries, right? Did they leave in, it's like 2700 or something when they leave? Somewhere around there, 27 and change. And then they come back, it's 3063? My lore is a little bit fuzzy, but something like that. 600 plus years? They leave in 2400? But they left in like around 2700. And they come back 3049, 3050. Okay. Oh, 63. Is that the timeline? Is that like the Comstar War? There's a few like years that are like important milestones in the lore. Something like that. Anyway, so they piss off for a little while. And meanwhile, they have almost their own little mini civil war for a bit, and then they get this clan system, and everything turns into this warrior sort of mentality. And you know what? Fair enough. They come back, they're Klingons, basically. Klingon edgelords. But they've got cool mechs. Anyway, so they've got these Omni-Mech things. So the idea is the mechs are broken down into these pods, these Omnipods, where you can remove an entire pod and put a new one back on, which minimizes repair time, but also increases mech customization. We still have a hardpoint system in here, which I think is fine. I'm not opposed to hardpoints as a game mechanic. Plus, I mean, it does make some sense. I've got a friend who hates like the fact that a hardpoint system exists at all in any kind of mech game. But to me, it's always made sense, right? You've got a part of the mech. You've got like, a torso set up over here, and it's set up with like a munitions feeding system. And, you can tweak it a little bit to change the caliber. So you can go from an AC-5 to an AC-10 or whatever, but it's meant for like ballistics, or it's meant to feed in missiles, or it's got, a bunch of extra power conduits coming from the fusion engine to power energy systems. That's to me is fine. Here, these Omnipods still have hard points between them, but you can swap it. There's a few different Omnipod loadouts that you can grab. So you can see here the Nova. We're going to talk about this Nova in a second, because this mech is stupid awesome. So it's got these different Omnipod sets, and you can unlock these with Mech XP. So again, you bring your mech into combat, you gain XP for that mech, which you can use to unlock just base upgrades like extra acceleration, extra top speed, extra turning speed, all those sorts, like these sort of minor things. Nothing, I think, game breaking for any of those. I really like the increased turn speed and increased torso turn speed. Those are my priorities for the upgrades on mechs. But yeah, it's not a huge deal. But you can also spend it to unlock these Omnipods, which in practice, this is pretty cheap. You're gonna get tons and tons of XP. So unlocking these Omnipods is fine. And these are full loadouts. So if I wanted to, on this Nova over here, I could click on the Nova C Omnipod set, and you can see it includes a Gauss rifle, a short-range missile system in one torso, a small pulse laser in another, and the jump jets and things like that. So we could unlock this. So I unlocked that with 300 Beck XP. You see I got 2400 on this, which is fine. And then it does awkwardly sort of then reorder this list to put the unlock one at the top, but it doesn't keep The one that you just unlocked, it doesn't keep it selected. So you do have to select it again, and then you can apply this loadout if you want, right? And then this mech will just be kitted out with this. Now, what the Omnipods do is they change these hard slots over here. So, for example, in my current left arm, this is with the Prime, the base model, the stock model over here. It's got 6 freaking ER lasers. It's got 6 in each arm. So 12 lasers. This is a 50-ton mech. This is a medium mech that fires volleys of 12 extended range clan medium lasers. It tends to just one-shot delete anything less than a heavy. And it can also one-shot delete certain heavies too. It's stupid. I love it. And if we want, like, I can strip out this location. I can slot in other things. This has got 6 slots for 6 energy weapons. Plus, it's got 2 more general slots over here. Now, these are single width slots, so it can't fit large lasers, for example, because they're too big. But what I can do is you can change the pod. Now, you don't have to change the pod of the entire mech. You can change it for one arm piece at a time. You still have to have that unlocked. So we unlocked the C variant. So I can put the C variant in this left arm. I can leave every other part of the mech exactly the same, but slot in the C over here. I can also go and say, oh, you know what? From this screen, we'll unlock this Nova A variant. This unlocks the entire variant, not just for this arm. But I can click this. I can confirm that. Again, it reorders things. It doesn't select it, so you got to go back and hunt it down. Minor annoyances, but it's not the end of the world. And then I can be like that. So let's say I decide, you know what, we're going to try this Gauss rifle. I'm going to put that in. And really what it's doing, the Omnipod is an Omnipod that is it's got 10 available slots, one of which is the general slot. The other 9 are ballistic slots, although it can only fit one actual ballistic weapon in here. So even if I put a tiny little ballistic weapon, so for example, what's small? A machine gun. Right? If I slot in a machine gun, great. Now I can't put any other guns because I can only have one gun in this slot. I still have all these others, but I'll be using them for general slots instead. Whereas in practice, like, okay, again, it's got the Gauss rifle, so we could put that in, or you know, maybe like, you know what, we won't go Gauss. I'll just, we'll sort of split the difference and put in an autocannon over here. Cool, whatever. That used up 5 of the slots, and I can use general slots for other things like ammo. But again, here, this whole section is quite a bit heavier, so then you go back to your other screen, and then you figure out ways to strip things out or whatever. I don't feel that this is as convenient to interact with, this Mech Lab, as in MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, or, say, Battletech or something like that. But I think it kind of makes sense. It fits the Omni system. It's a little bit more cumbersome to do, I'd say, global alterations, but so far I've been having perfectly amount of fun with it. And yeah, if ever, you know, you want to go back to this, like this Prime loadout, we'll just do that. And then we've got this Nova variant with 12 extended range medium lasers that just deletes things. Someone earlier was asking me what my favorite mech of this game was. Well, they may have been asking my favorite mech in general. I don't know what my favorite mech in general in the entire Battletech universe is, but in this game, this is my favorite mech because it's so stupid. It's so stupid. I love it. Oh my god. 2 volleys and you've wickedly overheated. So yeah, so this aspect of it is a little cumbersome. The story is kind of cool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to load up a mission real quick. One that shouldn't be spoilery in any way whatsoever. And we'll just look at the in-game interface. We're not actually going to do the mission. Again, we're going to switch to Timberborn very quickly. No heat issue. A few heat issues on the Nova. So, in addition to just playing through the story from the Mission Central, one of the things you can do from the barracks. Oh, actually, I should look at the. So this is the place where you can spend XP on your various characters in your star, not your lance, your star. By far the most powerful things to spend on these evasion. In fact, I'm just saving up. I spent a few here and there for some of these characters, and I realized, no, I want to dump all their personal XP into the evasion slot over here. You also get this affinity you can pick for people, which I find a little awkward. Also, annoyingly, like, I'm not crazy, right? There's no Timberwolf in here. I'm pretty sure I have that unlocked. One sec. If I go here, oh yeah, and Marketplace, and then Battletechs, and then, oh, we can check the unlocks over here, so there's all these sub things. Yeah, Timberborn. Timberwolf, which is the Mad Cat. The Inner Sphere knows this is the Mad Cat. It is unlocked. I don't know why it's not available as an affinity. I think I specifically have had Liam do it. So these upgrade slots are fixed per character. So the ones on the left are all the same for everyone as far as I know. But the ones on the right are slightly different. It's not very interesting. And honestly, like, Liam really is just meant to be a missile specialist, so fine. But yeah. Affinity is based on character except Jaden, who has it all. Yeah, but why doesn't he have the Timberwolf? It would be perfect. It has a bunch of missiles on it. I mean, I guess some of these others also have missiles. Sure, whatever. I don't know. It's bizarre. Yeah, so the lore is when the Inner Sphere mechs were first encountering a Timberwolf, their built-in computer was very confused. It couldn't identify it, and it kept flipping between interpreting it as a Marauder and interpreting it as a catapult because they sort of have similar overlap in shape. But it was flipping the codes. So the Marauder's code is Mad, and the catapult's code is Cat, C-A-T. So it kept flipping between Mad Cat, Mad Cat, Mad Cat. So Inner Sphere people called it that. Just a few of the other names are different. Someone earlier asked about the... it was a Vulture in the game, and it is, although it has a different name. And then there's the 110 mech that the Inner Sphere calls the Daishi, which is also in here, but it's got a different name, so I don't remember. So anyway, so there's this affinity system, and it turns out these are also permanent unlocks, like, as far as I can tell. So Jaden, quite early on, I gave him the Viper affinity, because that's what I was mostly using on him, and that's just there now. And it's like, well, we're kind of past the Viper stage, so it's a little annoying to me, but I guess it's not a big deal. And if I go and just put another point in somewhere, let's say, I don't know, I'll put a point into handling, which seems like an okay idea. That'll get us to level 10, so I can go and unlock another slot. So, okay, so Jaden apparently has got all the things, which is cool. Oh, the Direwolf is the Daishi. Yeah. So anyway. Do I like the Barracks system? Do I like the Mech Lab, or the Mech Bay? Yeah. That's fine if it's the clan. I don't like it as much as the Mercs one, and perhaps if this gets a sort of a career mode mercenary campaign kind of vibe, I might like to see something different, but it certainly fits. Yeah. So right. So let's just go into game for a second and just look at the UI. I'm gonna go, and I realize this isn't gonna be one of the first missions, but that's okay. No real spoilers. Clan's just showing up on some planet. We're going to do invasion. I'm going to skip some cutscenes. You can replay any missions here in the Simpod, and you get these advanced mission parameters that you can do to earn some bonus XP. So you can replay missions kind of for fun, but then if you do these advanced goals, you get more XP. And I've done them all on this mission. It's actually the only one I've replayed, and I got all of them in one go, which was very satisfying, considering I actually failed this mission a couple of times the first time, which I'm only playing on normal, so that's not very impressive. Well, I'll go ahead and select this. And then we're picking our mechs, so I could deploy 230 tons. Oh, here's something I will say about this game. In Mercenaries, for a gamey kind of balance point of view, the missions that you select in MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries has a maximum tonnage. It's to prevent you from just dropping on some low-level mission with like 4 atlases and just raffle stomping it without any challenge whatsoever. But it kind of doesn't make any sense, right? If you're negotiating with a mercenary company, all you're saying is, I want you to do this, and I'm going to pay you this much. I don't care what mechs you use. Like, that's your issue, right? And if I hire a mech company for like a crappy little job at a discounted rate, and they drop with 4 assault mechs, I'd be happy, right? So the Steiner Scout Lance, exactly, 4 atlases. So in MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, it's an artificial limit put in there, I think, for gameplay point of view. For the clans, it makes perfect sense because the way that they bid on missions is they are basically bidding with like the minimum amount of tonnage, like the amount of tonnage that they're willing to run, and whoever kind of bids the lowest gets the job, because the idea is the clans that will value you're saving resources, you're doing this, you're doing whatever. Yeah, the clan batch all sets the force limit, exactly. Now here, so the tonnage per mission varies even on the same planet, but yeah, so that makes perfect sense in clans. It doesn't feel artificial, it feels like the way it works. Whereas in Mercenaries, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So yeah, we'll go here. So this is the setup I had to reach the 200 maximum goal for the submission. I could have run 230, but we'll do that. We'll run a Nova ourselves. We'll get a couple of Vipers, or 3 Vipers, and then a Kit Fox over here on Liam, just to get below the 200, but I still want to run the Nova. So we'll run. I gotta say, the loading times are good. Now, MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries did a lot of like behind the scenes loading while you were still setting things up. That's probably still happening here, but it feels wonderful. It's also great in co-op. As soon as the host picks the mission, all the players start loading the mission in the background while they can still interact with things. Beautiful. This asynchronous loading, we really love to see.
En route to the AO.
Yeah, clans also, they deploy with groups of 5. They're stars of 5 points, as opposed to Inner Sphere Lances, which are 4.
Roger that.
Okay, I'm going to skip the here just in case there's any story spoilers, but it shouldn't be. So, we got this view here. Now, first of all, if you compare this user interface to MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, I don't know if you can pick up a thing, this is so much bigger and more crowded. I just loaded Mercenaries. Oh, I should probably be doing things. I just loaded up MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries before the stream, and I was like impressed by how small and minimal it is. Banana Man is asking if any elemental plays in this. Elementals are referred, and it's possible you see them, but you don't use them yourself. So the UI is much more cluttered. You can, of course, go to third person over here. I'm currently running this. I'm trying the modernized control, the so-called the first person kind of control mode, which I've never run before. But normally I play into classic controls from outside over here, where you're setting things and you're rotating independently. The modernized controls runs more first person, where when you just turn the mouse, your mech rotates automatically to face. But you can do strafing, which is kind of neat. Anyway, I normally always run from the third person view, and in that I prefer the classic mech controls. But in this time, I'm trying to run from inside the cockpit, and I find the cockpit works a lot better with what Clans calls modernized. Mercs also had it called first person. They do work slightly differently. In here, you'll see if I move my mouse around, it only twists the screen. No matter how quickly I move the mouse, it twists the screen as quick as the torso will turn. In Mercs, when you move the mouse to the side, your view will move immediately, as if your pilot is looking to the side, and then you'll see your targeting reticule like sort of follow along as quickly as the mech's torso will twist. I don't know why it's not the case over here, because it feels, I would love to just be able to sort of flick left and right to get like a glance from side to side, but here I have to wait for my entire torso to twist. Now, I will say, for the proper true experience, you probably want to run with the mech controls in classic mode, but I've been having fun playing this this first person mode just to mix it up. So,
they just got a taste of our firepower.
One thing that's great here is the new battle map, which introduces sort of mech commander, sort of RTS kind of controls. The game's not paused here, so it's important to note, but you can issue your lance mates to go to certain areas. This mission actually automatically triggered a little defend position on the mechs. But let's say I take Naomi over here, and I can tell Naomi, you know what, reposition to right there, and do that. Now, I can still do it with the F keys, right? Same thing with Naomi, is I can hit F5 and point here and say, you know what, guard that location. And Naomi will move to that spot. But it's kind of cool to have this interface here. There's a bunch of things you can command, you can queue things up, it's just kind of nice. It does make you feel a little bit like more commander mode. With the Nova here and the amount of heat that I generate on it, a lot of times I spend, I'm overheated on the Nova, which is a great time to issue some commands. The clan mechs are much more superior than Inner Sphere ones. Here, when you overheat, you don't shut down. It just turns off your weapons for a little bit.
They have the numbers, but we
clans. They think they're great warriors, but they're kind of baby moding, easy moding all this. So let's go and target. I think I was trying to shoot over the tree, but I think I missed. I was going for like a high up shot, but let's see what we can do better over here.
Target destroyed.
12 extended range clan medium lasers. It actually hurts to upgrade from the Nova to the heavier mechs later, because the firepower on this thing is just stupid. It makes no sense. It's just the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen.
That reactor's going to blow.
Oh, the clans just think themselves these proud warriors, but they just have absolutely OP technology.
Destroyed.
Ooh. So ridiculous. Like in a second here in this mission.
New hostile detected.
Yeah, there's an Atlas over here. You know, it's fine. Just like, you know, top end 100 ton little mech. It's fine. You know what? We're gonna go in with my lance of mediums and lights, And I mean, we're just engaging from like super high range over here and just cheesing things because we have like our weapons have like double their range, at least for the medium laser.
Missile.
The optimal range for medium laser for the inner sphere is listed as 270 in MechWarrior 5 Mercs. The actual range is a little further than that, but there's some fall off. So 270 is the optimal. Here you can see the optimal range being listed as 517. And in fact, I think it hits up to like 600 or something. In fact, I might be able to hit this Atlas at 800. I think it did damage, but very little. So yeah, no, the clan stuff is just ridiculous. Oh, that's interesting. It didn't give me the extra goals in here. I guess because I've already completed them. Over in the top left, it's not showing me the extra goals from this this simulation. I guess because it's already done. Anyway, like we can hop down here. You know what? Let me tell my Lance to move up. This guy's got pretty good range, so he's not really getting within my own range. I suppose if I loaded up with a bunch of large lasers, extended range large lasers, we'd be sniping the crap out of him. I gotta give kudos to this game. There you go. See, we overheated. It doesn't shut down my mech. Goodbye, Atlas.
Weapons online.
It doesn't shut down my mech. It just makes me stop shooting for a sec. The most annoying part about it is actually the fact that it disables some of my like user interface radar stuff. But you can see how big the user interface is.
Ursa, evasive maneuvers.
Compared to MechWarrior 5 Mercs, this is kind of awkward.
Jaguar
Anyway,
1, we just
then you keep going on this mission and yeah, you do stuff. What I like about this is there's a lot of missions where you are paired with another star. You're being deployed as a binary, and that's kind of cool. They really have captured the sense of scale in this game. Lots in this campaign, more than what I remember from MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, the vanilla campaign, which admittedly I never finished because at release the Mercs felt kind of They got lots of patches, lots of updates, so the game's in great state these days. But the scope, the amount of units in each battle feels really strong. MechWarrior mech's the same as in BattleTech. So it's a little weird that there's sort of two names for the franchise in a sense. Like the tabletop was just called BattleTech, and the pilots of the BattleTechs were just known as Mech Warriors. And at some point there was a Mech Warrior RPG where you actually like made your pilot as a character, and there was a whole system for just walking around as people and interacting as people, like a standard RPG set in this world. For some reason, the games have mostly just been called MechWarrior. Maybe they think it's a better sell. There's the BattleTech game, which again I love, from Harebrained Scheme, published by Paradox, and it's turn-based combat, a little bit more XCOM-y in that sense, but not really. But anyway, that's my favorite. So yeah, MechWarrior and BattleTech is the same thing. Anyway, I think that's it. Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to talk about over here. Yeah, the Mech Warrior is the pilot, and then there's Battle Mechs, and Battle Tech is the reference to the whole system / setting, arguably. But yeah, I've been enjoying playing through the game, but mostly I'm excited to finish the campaign, and then I plan on going back to MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries and playing some of that. But yeah, the maps are gorgeous. This one's like wide open, but there's lots that have very different sort of structures. You start off on this very desert planet with lots of like arches and caves and different things. But yeah, visually it's been great. So yeah, I think it's fine. Here's the thing. I would say if you were not sure, it's possible, especially if it comes up on a sale. For me, the thing I like to play more, I more enjoy MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries. It also happens to be cheaper. MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries sells for 34 Canadian buckaroos, whereas Clans is, I think, nearly twice as much. It is newer. Now, MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries, arguably for the full experience, you're going to want some of the expansions. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how just the base game compares. I mean, the Heroes of the Inner Sphere is the really good expansion that adds just the wide open career mode as opposed to a story. But yeah, on the other hand, at this point, these games are on the Xbox Game Pass, which is how I'm playing Clans. So you can just pay your insert local currency amount. For me, it's about $15 a month, Canadian, to have the Xbox Game Pass subscription. And so I'm just playing Clans on there. But yeah, so I think it's a fine release. There are certain things, yeah. The user interface feels like it suffers heavily from consolitis. Everything is very big, takes up too much room on the screen. in combat, and out of combat, it takes like 17 clicks to get anything done because everything's behind a sub tab on a sub tab on a sub tab. There's no menus. Everything's really big. It needs a lot of scrolling. I mean, it's not like you spend that much time there. But right now, here's the thing. Right now, clans, I don't feel because there's no career mode, right? Clans currently is not in a play forever kind of thing compared to MechWarrior 5 Mercs. Also, MechWarrior 5 Mercs has the benefit of a huge modding community, which I have not really mucked around with. My experience right now is I'm playing that co-op game with some friends of mine. In there we did put in a mod that enables a little bit more interaction in co-op mode, because by default in co-op mode only the host can interact with the like the equipment store and a couple of things like that. So there's a very popular mod to enable more of those features for all the players, so that the clients in the multiplayer, the clients in the co-op mode have access to those things as well. But that's it. Otherwise, we're playing completely vanilla because we didn't want to risk breaking anything for co-op or anything. But yeah, and the vanilla experience of MechWarrior 5 Mercs is pretty good. I suspect some of the mods make it insanely good. I feel like it's probably a similar situation to the BattleTech game, which again is my personal favorite because I really like the vibe of it. The vanilla game is also good, fine, but the modding community makes it insane. Just like RimWorld. Good game. The base game, especially RimWorld, really good. Modding community, nuts. What's the mod called? Let me bring it up specifically. Yeah, there are thoughts. I'm very tempted to revisit BattleTech. Probably not with RogueTech per se. So RogueTech is a very big mod pack for... What the... No, I don't want to... I accidentally opened Edge, and it's terrible. Co-op Unlocked is what it's called. Yeah, so RogueTech is basically it's a collection of mods, in a sense. They've done some of their own custom work as well, but they're a collection of curated mods for BattleTech that adds a tremendous amount of detail. I really liked RogueTech when it came out, and I played a lot, but they kept adding more and more stuff, which is fine, and plenty of people like that. At some point, RogueTech started to have too many things, and for me, and the philosophy they were going for was kind of beyond what I was looking for. And so there are another couple of other really big packages that have a lot of the same stuff as RogueTech, but doesn't go quite as extreme. And I think I can't remember the one I was using. I feel BattleTech Edition. BattleTech Extended 3025 Commander's Edition is the one that I have been playing most recently, which is sort of almost a midpoint between vanilla and RogueTech, kind of that Goldilocks zone for me personally. But there's a couple others that exist in that range as well. So you've got like the vanilla experience. RogueTech's probably one of the more extreme modded ones, and there's a few different in the middle, and they all have great value, and it's about finding the one that works the best for you. Yeah, BattleTech is the turn-based one. Yeah, where you're controlling all four, but in a turn-based kind of mechanic. Let me go and just change MooBot here very briefly to say Timberborn. More Timberborn. Like that. BattleTech Extended. Recently released 2.0 called BattleTech Extended Tactics. Okay. And yeah, I don't remember where... New permanent home. This mod. So now it's called BattleTech Extended Tactics? Yeah. So there's a few different ones for BattleTech, and they're all really strong to add more or less realism if you want to do different things. Yeah, these days, in terms of web browsers, I think all of them run Chromium except for Firefox. Although I don't actually know the situation on the Mac, because on the Mac, the problem for a long time was that all of them were back-end running the same thing as Safari. Yeah, I'm gonna get a hat on. I didn't put one on right away because my hair is still drying from the shower, but I think I want this. I think this is the correct hat to play Timberborn with. Safari uses WebKit. Same as chromium, but a very different build. I think some of them have like split off a long time ago.